was just announced after the inauguration that AI is going to keep us safe. But at what cost? What if your every move was watched and analyzed, not by people, but by government machines? So for context, all of this started with Trump's announcement where he announced his plan to secure $500 billion for Project Stargate.
This is, to me, a very big thing. $500 billion Stargate project. I think it's going to be something that's very special. It'll lead to something that could be the biggest of all.
And shortly after this, he introduced the people leading the project, the CEO of SoftBank, OpenAI, who created ChatGPT, and the co-founder of Oracle, Larry Ellison. Now, remember this Larry guy because we're going to come back to him in a second. Okay, so why does this product matter to us, ordinary people like you and me? Well, as this meeting went on, they revealed how this project will benefit all of us.
I believe that as this technology progresses, we will see diseases get cured at an unprecedented rate.
And they also gave details to how this will happen, promising that the project will allow them to create personalized cancer vaccines.
Turns out, I'll be quick, all of our cancers, cancer tumors, little fragments of those tumors float around in your blood. You can do early cancer detection with a blood test. And using AI, you can find the cancers that are actually seriously threatening the person. So once we gene sequence that cancer tumor, you can then vaccinate the person, design a vaccine for every individual person to vaccinate them against that cancer. And you can make that mRNA vaccine robotically, again using AI, in about 48 hours. So this is the promise of AI and the promise of the future.
Okay, now I think we would all appreciate a world where diseases like cancer are both diagnosed and cured quickly and easily. I mean, just imagine a future where a single and quick blood test can save your life or a loved one's life. That's enough to get anyone excited, and it's coming soon. So all of this sounds amazing, right? Well, as incredible as that sounds, there might be more to the story. As I started looking into the founders, I came across a clip that Matt Wolf posted of this guy, the one I mentioned earlier, Larry Ellison. And a few months ago, Larry was hosting a meeting, and what he said might make you a little uneasy.
Ellison's vision is for AI to analyze data from this network of cameras in real time in an attempt to prevent crime, while also tracking and influencing public behavior for a safer society.
Everyone would see it. Your body cams will be transmitting that. The police will be on their best behavior, because we're constantly recording, watching and recording everything that's going on. Citizens will be on their best behavior because we're constantly recording and reporting everything that's going on.
So, in other words, they would have cameras literally everywhere, on the streets, on dash cams, inside of buildings, and even security cameras inside of private houses that will not only monitor your every action, but AI will be continuously analyzing the footage to detect crimes and hold people accountable. Now, to be perfectly fair, I think that this actually would initially make people behave a little better. Crimes will be solved quickly since cameras will be able to track where any criminal goes, and the crime rate will no doubt decrease. But at what cost? I mean, just take a second to consider some of the drawbacks and why this could be such a disaster. But before we get into that, I want to say that when you're researching topics like this, it's important to get the most accurate information possible and know who you're getting your information from, which is why I'm happy to have Ground News as the sponsor of today's video. Ground News gathers articles from over 50,000 sources and show you how they're covered across the political spectrum, letting you see the full picture. For example, when it comes to this topic about Stargate and the criticism against it, almost 600 sources have already covered it, with about 34% of the sources leaning right and 27% leaning left. And if you go over here to the bias comparison tool, you can also see how the left, the center, and the right are all covering the same story. I also love the blind spot feed, which highlights how stories are disproportionately covered by one side of the political spectrum. So, for example, so far 0% of left-wing outlets have covered the fact that a Democratic governor said that she supports the apprehension of immigrated criminals. That's a massive blind spot. So Ground News has become a valuable tool for me, especially as a Christian seeking truth and integrity in media. And if you want to try Ground News today, go ahead and go to groundnews.com/whatdoyoumeme and get 40% off of access with the Vantage plan. All right, now back to the video. So what exactly is the issue with using AI to facilitate and watch your every move? I mean, what's the worst that can happen if literally every single step you take is analyzed in real time? Well, to start, widespread surveillance would fundamentally alter how people interact, creating a world where people feel pressured to constantly self-censor their actions and words out of fear that they could be used against them. And over time, this destroys personal freedom as people no longer feel safe to express themselves without fear of misrepresentation or punishment. Relationships will shift from trust to mere compliance compliance, leading to fear, division, and isolation. Not to mention that false positives can wrongly accuse innocent people and erode trust in the system, while an over-reliance on it can lead to unfair penalties. And while self-censorship is concerning, the potential for abuse is even more alarming. And just to be clear, I'm not saying that AI as a whole is bad, nor am I implying that we should fear it and never use it. As I've said before, AI is a tool, and like all tools, it can be used for good or it can be used for bad. When AI is used to monitor every move, it becomes a powerful tool for control. Just like China's social credit system, where missing a payment can mean losing access to travel, hotels, or even good schools. Just imagine not being able to enroll your kids in a good school because you fell behind on a debt. So while China's system is meant to encourage trustworthiness, it raises serious concerns about privacy and government overreach, showing just how easily surveillance can be used to control people's lives. And even history has shown us time and time again that when governments take surveillance too far, people push back. In East Germany, for example, the Stasi secret police monitored nearly every aspect of life, creating widespread fear and mistrust, and eventually the system collapsed as its citizens grew tired of living under constant scrutiny. Similarly, China's social credit system has sparked criticism and quiet resistance, with people finding different ways to avoid tracking and push back against restrictions. So all of these and other examples highlight a deeper truth. When people feel overly controlled, they naturally seek freedom, ultimately proving that even though surveillance can force compliance, it will always spark resistance. But the ultimate problem with forced compliance is that, at best, it can only help to modify external behaviors, but it won't be capable of changing anyone's heart. I think Jesus said it best when he said, "First clean the inside of the cup and dish, and then the outside will also be clean." Now, what he was getting out here was that all of the evil that comes out of a man stems from the deeper issues of the human heart. Our desires, motivations, and our moral struggles. Following rules and obligations ultimately won't fix the source of the problem. Instead, it only breeds resentment, frustration, and a desire to rebel when given the chance. So whether it's governments, laws, or AI surveillance systems, they can help to regulate behavior on the outside, but they can't create any real integrity, honesty, or compassion. True change starts from inside, allowing external change to be the result of a changed heart rather than a changed law. So all of this is why the gospel is so unique in how it solves this problem. When we come to Christ, we aren't saved because we're more moral or better than anyone else. We're saved and fully accepted because we trust in the free and undeserved gift of salvation that Christ offers us. And sometimes it's really hard to grasp just how significant that is. So think of it this way. Imagine that you were mixed up in some really bad stuff and ended up in debt to a powerful king for $10 million. And the condition of that debt was that if you didn't pay them back within a week, then he would have your life taken away as retribution. But as it gets closer to payday, you're desperate, knowing that no matter how hard you try, there's no way that you could come up with that kind of money. So when payday finally arrives, you go and stand before the king and you drop at his feet, asking him for mercy since you don't have the money. But he looks down at you and says, the debt still has to be paid. So you look up at him, preparing to die, waiting for it all to be over. But to your surprise, instead of him taking your life for not paying him what you owe him, he tells you that he's going to have mercy on you. Instead of you having to pay the $10 million debt with your life, he decides to give his very own life in place of yours, thereby paying all of the debt for you. And he doesn't just stop there. He also tells you that you can have everything that he worked for, giving you the fruits of all of the success that he acquired as a free and undeserved gift. Okay, now maybe that was a weird analogy, but it's kind of like what Jesus did for you. He doesn't just offer you mercy by not giving you what you deserve, which is eternity apart from him, but he also gives you grace, giving you freely what you don't deserve, standing before God as if you lived the perfect life that Jesus lived. And so if you really think about how grateful you are for that, then you want to behave better. How could you not want to love and honor someone who gave his life for you and suffered on your behalf? So unlike the AI surveillance system, where your motivation to change your behavior is based on fear, when it comes to the gospel, your motivation to change is love and gratefulness. You realize that he gave you the greatest gift possible and he paid for it with his life. And therefore, your behavior changes from the inside out, leading to a lasting, more stable, and a genuine change of behavior. Now here I didn't get a chance to talk about the wild fact that people are quite literally worshiping AI and what that means for the future of Christianity. So do me a quick favor and hit the like button on your way out, and then check out this video where I show you just how wild this stuff is getting. All right? See you guys next time.